impressions count anywhere in a home, it is in your hallway. It is the first place that you see when you get home, and it's also the first place that your guests see as they enter your beautiful home. So first impressions really do count here, and I think one of the main things that makes an impact is the paint colour you use. My Farrow and Ball hallway colours blog is one of my most read blogs every single month. Choosing the right paint colour is understandably a really tricky decision. So today I'm going to jump in and I'm going to be sharing some of the best shades that you can use in your hallway, whether you've got a dark narrow hallway, you've got more space, you've got lots of light coming in. I'm going to give you lots of colour ideas specific to your space. Now if you're new here, I'm Nicole from Sleek-chic Interiors. I share shed loads of paint advice on my channel from brands such as Dulux to Farrow and Ball. I'll link some of the favourites in the caption below. But if you're new around here, I'd love it if you could press subscribe and give this video a like, as it really helps my channel. Okay, now let's get into the video. Now if you haven't already, I really strongly recommend you picking yourself up a free Farrow and Ball colour chart. These are free from the website. I'll put a link in the comments below. Now this is your new best friend while you choose a colour for your space. I'm always referring to this. They line all of the colours up in their specific colour zone, so it's really simple to find the best colour for your space. I'm also going to add here that I do lots of videos about Dulux as well. Now, having done, well, in the middle of my second renovation now, excuse the mess before anyone leaves a comment, I am in the middle of a renovation. But now having used both Dulux and Farrow and Ball, for me, Farrow and Ball trumps Dulux so much more. And the problem is people have a perception while they're buying paint that the cheapest, let's just go for that. Now if you actually look at the price difference over time, I believe that Farrow and Ball, you get much more bang for your buck. Every place that we have painted with Farrow and Ball so far, we've literally only had to use one coat. It's also scrubbable, and in our last home we were constantly having to clean our hallway because of our chow chow, who's just filthy. So we were constantly taking the paint off, we were having to constantly repaint, buy new tubs. So if you look at it at an end goal, it may look cheaper initially, but over time it is going to cost you more money. And I'll also say that the colour pigments you get with Farrow and Ball are so difficult to be matched by Dulux. They're so much stronger, they carry a greater depth, and I personally love it. And I think in a hallway as well, you absolutely have to go for a paint that is scrubbable. It's a high traffic area. It doesn't matter if you don't have kids or dogs, it's going to be used a lot, and you need something that's going to last a really long time. So enough about that. I'm going to jump in with a selection of my favourite colours for hallways, from neutrals all the way up to your bolder shades. Now I'm going to kick it off with a white to begin with. Now I've said on so many videos before, never ever go for a bright white in any space in your house. Now the reason for that being is often people think that painting a room that's very dark or a hallway that's very dark a bright white is going to instantly make it feel lighter, and that is one of the biggest myths in interior design. Now a bright white can only bounce around the available light that is in that space. Now if you've got a very dark hallway, it's essentially got cold light to dark around, so it's actually going to make the space feel darker and more lifeless. Now also, if you have a very sunny hallway, perhaps you've got lots of windows or light coming in from adjoining rooms, I don't know about you, but a bright white is clinical and it can actually make you feel very uncomfortable in your space. It's only when you swap a bright white to an off-white that you realise the difference it feels. Now when you step into that hallway, you've got to think about how you want yourself and your guests to feel. You want it to be welcoming, inviting, and kind of restful and calming as well. Now if you do want to go for an off-white, I would recommend going for something like Wimborne White, and I'll pop an example of this on the screen for you now. Wimborne White is just a shade off a pure white. So you do have that slightly off-white shade to it, but it's not clinical and it's not cloying. Now, if you are to use Wimborne White, perhaps you've got half-wall paneling, or you want to add an accent colour as well. Now, there's so many different colours that work with Wimborne White, and I'll go on to a few of those in a moment, and virtually anything goes really well with an off-white like Wimborne White. I personally still find a white like that a little bit too much for a hallway, but if you are bringing in an additional colour through paneling, then I think it's an absolutely really good colour for your space. Now, one colour that is ever popular, and that is Ammonite. Now Ammonite is classed as an off-white, but it's kind of a very sort of subdued pale grey. Now you don't necessarily want to use this colour if you have a very dark hallway. However, if you do pair it with something like Ammonite on a half wall panelling look, like I'm going to pop up on the screen for you now, it looks amazing. It's got a really kind of subdued Scandinavian style to it, but it looks really good in modern hallways as well. Super popular colour, and I personally think if you do panelling, you need to have your slightly darker colour on your panelling or woodwork, because it gives you that definition between that and the white, but also having that darker shade on the lower half of the wall makes it much easier to conceal dirt or scuffs in a really heavy traffic hallway. Now let's talk about some slightly warmer colours that are just super calming and welcoming and warm for a hallway. Now dark hallways, dark narrow hallways are a really common conundrum, especially in the UK. I had one myself, and when you have very little light coming in, or perhaps you've got a north facing hallway, then you want to be bringing in warm tones that have got yellow, green or red and pink based undertones to them. This is going to bring instant warmth into the room, and if there is any cold or blue light, it's going to balance it and counteract it really well. Now another really popular colour is Skimming Stone. Skimming Stone, not Skimming Scone. So Skimming Stone is really one of the popular colours. Now the Dulux alternative to this, that is a very similar dupe, is actually Egyptian cotton, and I'll pop both of those on the screen for you now to look at. But Skimming Stone is just the most gorgeous, almost biscuity coloured shade. It's warm, it's gorgeous, it's inviting, and without it being too dark or defining in a space. I love this for a hallway. I've popped up some pictures of how this looks in the space. It's super versatile, especially if you want to deliver an earthy colour scheme. It looks amazing with olives, browns, creams, and some whites if you want to add a bit more of a crisp tone to it. One of the questions that I get asked a lot, especially when choosing colours for a hallway, is what colours should I be doing on the woodwork, the banister, and the hallway walls as well. Now Farrow and Ball always offer some trim colours that work really well with colours on their website, and this is a really handy reference point if you are looking for some expert inspiration. Now as a general rule of thumb, if you're picking a different colour for your woodwork, you need to go at least a couple of shades darker than your wall colour. It's going to provide that really gorgeous pop of definition, and it's going to bring some personality and depth of colour into your hallway. A really good example of this is that I'm going to pop on the screen for you now is all white on the walls. We've got the beautiful Purbeck Stone on the panelling and the skirting, and this, as you can see, is just a couple of shades darker. It's got such a gorgeous combination, and I love these whites and cream combinations at the moment. It's really relaxed, and some people might not like beiges and creams, but there's no denying that it looks stylish and super well executed, but it's actually a really simple colour palette. It's actually really popular. It's using railings on the banister and the spindles and the stair treads. Now this looks absolutely beautiful, and it's finished gorgeously with a stair runner. You just can't go wrong with this colour combination. It's really strong, it works, it's effective, and I don't know about you, but I'd love coming home to a hallway that looked like this. Of course, you can use something like railings on like an accent wall, especially if you've got a really long hallway and you want to kind of draw your eye to it. But personally, I would go for railings as an accent colour on a banister, just because it brings that pop of sort of an off black, but at the same time it's not oppressive in the space. I then add some other darker accents in the hallway just to pull the space together beautifully. Now greens continue to be a super popular colour in a hallway. I don't know what it is about green, but it just looks good whatever the space and orientation, especially if you lean into kind of the sage green, lighter colours. Now sage greens remain really popular. They're just natural, they connect you to nature, but they've also got a really restorative feel. Now again, you don't have to use this on all your walls. You could simply use it on your stair treads and your banister if you want to have a pop of colour there. You could use it on your woodwork, or you could use it on half wall panelling. A really popular colour is French grey. It is a really gorgeous sort of mix between a sage green and an olive green. As you can see in this picture, it looks great with whites. It also looks great with blacks, sort of like railings. But it's just really welcoming, and especially if you've got more light coming into your hallway, it does look really good. And another green colour I'm going to mention. Now, to be honest, I like any Farrow and Ball colour. It's hard not to because they are just so pigmented and they look amazing. Now Pigeon is just phenomenally popular throughout an entire interior. It looks good from nurseries to hallway spaces. Now this is kind of more of a subdued green. It's got some grey undertones to it, but it still looks really, really good. Now as you can see in this picture, it's been paired with kind of a nice white. An all white or a Wimborne White would look really, really effective with this. So you get that definition in the lower half of your wall, but the white draws your eye up, making the space feel a little bit bigger. Now perhaps you want to go for something a little bit more defining and earthy. Now if you've got a really, really dark hallway, I always say you can either lean into the light shades that have got warm undertones, or slightly lean into the darker side a bit and really create that cozy cocooning effect. And I really think you get that with green smoke. Green smoke is just beautiful, and this colour has been colour drenched throughout this hallway. It's super, super effective. It's cozy, cocooning, but it's got such a stylish edge to it. You can really, really work it well in a traditional hallway, or perhaps more of a modern earthy colour scheme as well. Now I could share so many colours with you, but I know that dark hallways are one of the most common problems that we face with our homes, especially in the UK. So I kind of wanted to do a quick fire round of some colours that work really, really well in dark spaces. Now as a general guide, always look for colours that have a yellow, a green, a red or a pink based undertone. These are warm based undertones and they will bring that warmth into your colour and it will help counteract any blue or cold light. Now a lot of people don't tend to like yellow undertones as it can feel quite magnolia and quite yellowy. Now Farrow and Ball's colours don't feel like that as much as Dulux's do, but I will give some examples of the yellows and also the red and pink based undertones as well. Now I'm going to kick it off with some red based tones. Now we've got Dimity, we've got Jones White and we've got Oxford Stone. Now I might be biased here, but I am a huge fan of Oxford Stone. We've actually got it in our bedroom that we're doing up right now, and it is gorgeous. We have a very true north facing bedroom. It's like a sandy colour, but it's not yellowy in tone, but also it kind of looks like a khaki green in other lights as well. Really, really love it, and it would look really good on some panelling. And then if you want to pair it with kind of a brighter white, you could go for pointing, all white or Wimborne White. Now other warm neutrals that you could have are New White, Matchstick, String and Chord. And if you want to go for some warmer colours again that are pink based, perhaps you'd love to have some pink, I would look at Setting Plaster and Templeton Pink. Beautiful subdued pinks. They'll bring warmth into the equation, look great on all your walls, or even if you want kind of an accent colour on stair treads, banister, or just panelling. Just remember when you are picking that colour for your woodwork as well, either go for something that is 2 shades darker at least, or use the same colour you've used on your walls if you just want a cohesive feeling through the space. There really is no right or wrong answer when you are picking that complementary colour for your trim. Designers do all sorts of different things. Some designers will say to never do a different colour on your woodwork unless you've got a huge space, but others will swear by going for something that's a little bit darker. I personally like having something a little bit darker, especially if it's like hallway or landing. In bedrooms, I tend to go for like the colour drenched look because I really, really love it. It's just got a gorgeous cocooning feel to it, but it's completely up to you what you go for in your space. Again, it's just trial and error and what works for you and how the light affects your hallway. Now, greys are really popular for hallways, and I think we went through that grey washing era where everyone used grey. I personally am not a fan of using grey in a hallway because I think it's naturally cold in colour. It can be quite difficult to build other colours into this scheme unless you go for other greys, blacks and whites, but having said that, grey is still really popular, and as I've already shown, grey can look pretty good if you pair it with other colours. We've got things like Cornforth White, we've got Purbeck Stone, we've also got Lamp Room Grey, which is a really popular one, and then if you do have a really sunny room, you are best pairing it with a white that has got a grey undertone to it. Now Wevet is one of my absolute favourites. I have this in our bathroom and it just counteracts the intensity of the sun beautifully. You've also got all white if you want to go for something even crisper, and you've also got blackened, which has got a slight more of a grey undertone. But as I said, if you do have a north facing, very little light coming into your hallway, avoid greys, go for those warm based colours instead. Now I could be here all day sharing colours, but those are some of my best. I'll also put some combinations in the caption below, which I really love. If you've got any questions about specific colours, say you've got a colour for the walls you'd love to use and you're not sure what to pair it with, do leave me a comment below so I can share some recommendations with you and everyone else that watches this video. But other than that, I really hope you found today's video useful. I've linked the full blog post in the comments below with pictures as well, so do go and check that one out. But if you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a thumbs up, as it really does help my channel. Grab yourself a free colour card, and once you've picked a few colours you love for your hallway, do get a tester pot. They look vastly different on the screen you're watching this on, to my house, to your house, so do get a tester. I always advise painting an A4 sheet of paper and then taking it around your room so you can see how it looks in different lights and how it affects it in your space. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed watching today's video, and I'll see you on my next one.